Hey guys, I'm SD Wolf. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new, welcome. We get on here and do these speculation videos from time to time. Get on here and chat with you guys and start kind of gauging some feedback on what you think's coming, what's realistic. And that's kind of what I was going for with the title of this, realistic expectations. And I just wanted to jump in. I found a good article on Rock Paper Pew Pew about fish and birds and basically the kind of like the what's been omitted these last, now that we're a couple DLCs in, and still not having like actual swimming aquatic animals. We have the crocodiles and the hippos, stuff like that, but we're talking about actual aquatic animals that spend 100% of their lives underwater. And that is kind of what leads us to this discussion. And I found a really neat article on there by Nate Crowley, and it was about 8 months ago. So this is like right when the first DLC launched for Planet Zoo. And, we actually back then we were wondering like, oh, are we going to get fish? Are we going to get otters, river otters? Are we going to get beavers? Stuff like that, like really, really aquatic themed animals. And this is what the article, like halfway, it's kind of like in the beginning, but I'll link it down below, of course, so you guys can go check it out. But this guy says, it seems Frontier decided early on not to include any fish in the game. While some semi-watery folks, like saltwater crocodiles, did make it in, for the most part, aquatic animals in general were out of the picture. I asked Jackson about this decision. Now, remember, Jackson's like the Planet Zoo lead, Piers Jackson, on this, because I've got a private obsession with seeing fish and other watery things in games. But he dodged the issue, pretty reasonably to be fair, with quote unquote, right now we don't have anything to share about the future of Planet Zoo beyond our ongoing work to keep improving and optimizing the game. So if any of you guys have been around Frontier for any amount of time, that language right there indicates to me that fish are 100% coming and they're 100% being worked on. But I think there's a caveat to this, and I just want to be honest with you guys. Do I think in terms of fish and aquatic critters, are we going to have orcas, dolphins, stuff like that, large aquatic, large marine mammals? I'm thinking not. I know, and another guy left a comment a few days ago on one of my videos, really kind of hammering that in pretty well. Really just an articulate response, and it was basically the same thing I'm kind of feeling. River otters, regular fish, maybe even defined to the exhibit type of example. Yes, I think those will definitely happen. But large marine type animals, like we said, orcas, stuff like that, I don't necessarily see that happening. I mean, there's a lot of people that would love to see it. I've got a buddy on Instagram. He messages me like once a month asking me like, have you heard anything? Or do you think we'll get orcas? I just, I don't want to do shows. I just want to do like the Blue Ocean project that SeaWorld was coming up with. I did a video on that a few days ago on the concept art of that. He's like, that's what I want to do. And I just wish Frontier would do that. Unfortunately, I don't see that happening in the scope of this game. I think with that, you're almost getting into the realm of an aquatic simulator or Planet Aquarium, other than Planet Zoo. And, typically with zoos, you're kind of minimized to the aquatic animals that I think a lot of us are coming to accept that may make it into the game. I just, I hate to say it, but this isn't a SeaWorld simulator. So do I think there are going to be dolphin shows and orcas jumping through rings or having like stage platform shows? No. Do I think there could be beavers, or I know a huge crowd favorite, penguins? We haven't seen penguins yet. Do I think those could come? Absolutely, and this Nate guy even says that in the next paragraph. And like we said, this is a guy that has actually sat down with some of the lead developers, Lisa Bowens, a couple of them, and has chatted with them about this. So this is what he says in the next paragraph below what we just went over. Just after our conversation, the game's first DLC pack launched, featuring 4 cold weather animals. But penguins, surely a clear crowd pleaser, were not among them. While I don't know for sure, the omission of such swimmy birds has only further stoked my personal belief that an aquatic update is on its way at some point. Speaking of birds, while they're not as absent as fish, there are only 3 in the game: the ostrich, the Indian peafowl, and the flamingo. According to Jackson, this was partially down to an element of behavior and navigation systems. Putting flighted birds into the game, he explains, presented a different challenge from ground lords such as the ostriches. And he said, that's birds and fish off the table then. But what about the elephant in the room? And when I say elephant, I mean invertebrates, because there are a vast number of things. Frontier's solutions to beetles and their friends came fairly early in the design process, when the call was made to split the game's animals between habitat species, quote, larger animals with fully designable outdoor enclosures, and exhibit species, smaller creatures with limited simulated behavior housed exclusively in one-size-fits-all terrarium cubes. And Jackson went on to say, we have a desire to have these animals in the zoo to create diversity, but we knew we'd need to handle their inclusion separately from habitat animals, given both scale and behavioral differences. And then Nate goes on to say, this makes sense, especially in terms of invertebrates. After all, who keeps a tarantula in a meadow? But it also restricted the potential for including smaller mammals, even smash hit creatures such as meerkats. And I think Pierce and them and Lisa, they kind of allude to that. They know we don't want to see meerkats in exhibit cubes. But will we make that exception for fish? You know, particularly cichlids, piranhas, different things like that. I believe so. I believe there's a little bit of leadway for fish. You know, do I want them to take that route? Absolutely not, because I would love to have, like, you know, big schools of cichlids, or if we go the saltwater route, you know, have yellow tangs, or, you know, clownfish. You know, there are different types of avenues I would like to take, but I would like them to take, but we definitely have to go back to the scale of things. And, you know, you wouldn't have 2 clownfish in a, you know, 100-meter pool, you know. So that is, I think, goes back to what they were talking about as far as the animation of the enclosures. How are the fish, or, you know, even like we said, even if they do something like, you know, I would just think with something like river otters and beavers, they would have to be a habitat style species. I mean, I don't think people would really accept them being in a terrarium unless, now just hear me out here, I know you guys are probably going to go crazy when I say this, maybe with anger, but what if the terrariums were larger or customizable? Make it to where we can drag them out, and, you know, they still have a set of animations, but they're kind of confined to a certain box limit. I think that could be a way maybe to work them in. Then also too, you kind of go back to birds. Are birds restricted in terms of habitat maneuverability and you know, navigation? Are we going to have to put those in some kind of special kind of enclosure, kind of like they did with Jurassic World Evolution, when they finally entered the flying dinosaurs? So, you know, there are so many questions. It's like every time we come up with a question, that question leads to 5 more questions, and this speculation leads to 4 or 5 more speculations. Why can't they do it like this? Why would they omit orcas? Why would they omit beluga whales? Can we make it to where can they retroactive this where the polar bears have a completely underwater swimming animation? You know, how would the beavers work? Would they actually have an animation where they collect sticks and actually build homes? Like, is that a habitat, like a habitat enrichment piece? there are so many questions and not many answers right now. I wish I had more answers to give you, but there's just not a lot of research on it because there's not a lot of talk about it. But I know it's something that's very interesting to you guys, and we will just kind of have to just go with the flow here and see what they have planned. I know one of the rumors is that after the Australia pack, there is an ocean pack that is rumored to be coming sooner rather than later. We'll just have to kind of wait and see if that really comes, if that really comes true. That's all we can really do. I'm not in contact with any of the devs like that, and obviously if I was, I wouldn't be making this video, because they would probably say, hey, listen, you're kind of treading a little close to what we have planned. If you could cool it on these videos, that would be awesome. But I've never gotten an email like that from them, so I don't know. And I've been pretty close on some of these guesses, and pretty far off on some other ones. So that's the cool thing about Frontier. They're kind of always keeping us on our toes. They're good about kind of semi giving you what you want, but also giving you what you didn't know you wanted until they gave it to you. And then once you have it, you're like, man, why didn't I think of that? This is awesome. So, I just kind of wanted to get in here, start another conversation with you guys about really the scope of our marine animals, our marine mammals. What do you guys think is coming? How close do you think we are to having large marine animals? Or do you think it is going to be pretty exclusive to smaller fish, beavers, river otters, sea otters, stuff like that? Do you think that is how this is going to go down? And of course, like we're always interested in, how in the world do you think they're going to go in and implement this in a satisfactory way, in a cohesive way to what the community's wishes are, and kind of not limit them to the terrarium boxes? I mean, I know we give them a lot of credit for coming up with that system. It was one of those things where they had to come up with it to be able to give us those type of animals. But I'm kind of hoping they go a different route in terms of fish and in aquatic mammals, and we'll just kind of have to see how it goes. But as always, leave your thoughts down below. I know you guys love jumping in and doing these speculation videos with me. Well, some of you do. And but yeah, I'm S. Wolf. Don't forget to smash that like button if you end up enjoying this video. And yep, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you. See ya.